I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Johnny Smith.
And this is On the Other Side of Things, the Smith & Sniff spin-off in which we answer your questions.
Okay. Well, welcome to Otosot, that catchy title, which is a spin-off of Otosot, which, in case there's somebody out there listening to this by some reason that's never heard of it, well, you know, we used to say On That Side of Things, because I know a guy who says that at the end of every sentence.
It's good to put the context on this.
And Otosot is On the Other Side of Things, which is our second podcast, where we actually try and answer the questions of you, the listeners.
Yes. Now, I've got one here from Jeremy Lockley, who's a patron.
Hi, Jeremy.
He says, hello, question for Otosot. What colour is used to describe a Polo Harlequin on its V5? I've always wondered.
Oh.
CMTMB.
Yeah, what is the true colour of a Polo Harlequin? Well, you could never... the only thing I really know about Harlequins is you couldn't choose the colours of the panels. It was a random offering.
I think I read somewhere that people did ask if they could, and VW had to go, not really, it's a bit random, because they would build, what were the colours? Green, red, purple, yellow?
White.
I don't think white was in there, was it? I'll look up a picture. I've got a picture. I took a picture off of the photos.
There was one at the event.
So I can find that picture.
Did they do it in all markets?
Well, it was Euro. Yeah, look, here we go. So this Polo Harlequin that I'm looking at that we saw...
Polo Harlequin, mate.
Photo.
Oh, so that's red, green,
sort of bluey purple and yellow.
Yellow. I thought there was one more colour.
But what you can see from this is that the sill and the D-pillar is green. So that was built as a green car.
Yes.
And they had a special workshop at the end of the production line, and then they would get in 4 Polos in the 4 colours. And there was a preordained swapperoo.
Oh.
So that the green car would always get a red back door and a blue front door and a blue tailgate and a red rear bumper and a yellow front wing there.
So you'd have 4 kits of parts.
Yeah.
And you'd make sure they stayed within the 4 cars.
Apparently so, yeah. So this was always they had worked it out that much. That was it. But you could tell what the car was built as, because they couldn't spray them like this. They were sprayed as one colour and then mixed up, because the D-pillar and the roof is the other bit, and the sills are the fundamental structure of the car. I thought this was a really good question, and I didn't know the answer, but I've actually done some research on this, because I found some pictures of UK registered Harlequins online and then just looked them up.
How many UK Harlequins are there left?
Oh, I don't know. But
and was it a sales success?
No, I don't think it was.
I don't think it was.
But they're now quite sought after as sort of novelty value, aren't they?
Yeah.
Anyway, the answer, surprisingly, having run 3 or 4 Harlequin plates through the DVLA, they come up as multicolour.
Oh.
So they've actually accommodated this. I thought they might go with whatever the base colour was, the original car, just for simplicity's sake. But no, they reflect what it actually is, which is multicolour. So, yeah, that's the answer.
Interesting.
I thought it would be an amusing gag, it's not actually that amusing, to make a Phaeton Harlequin.
A Phaeton Harlequin would be inspired.
Well, I then searched this and someone's already done it.
Oh, piss artistry.
Which I guess they must have done it with, I don't know, with rattle cans or something. Because I thought actually, suiting the kind of executive car that a Phaeton is, you wouldn't do it red and yellow and green and stuff. You'd do it all like...
champagne.
Oh, yeah, I could mix that in. Because I was going to say, like, just do silver and grey and black,
Midnight blue.
Yeah, so it's like a monochrome Harlequin.
It's a muted Harlequin.
I'll never find it now, but yeah, there was definitely a
like a muted trumpet, just slightly more. I think slightly more classy sounding,
but sometimes quite sad.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of like smooth jazz with the brushes on the drums.
Oh, brushes on the drums,
and the double bass just in the background holding it together. You know. You got me thinking though. So someone's already done a Phaeton Harlequin.
Yes.
I now have the desire to find maybe a slightly panel damaged Bentley Flying Spur.
Oh my gosh! Down to like 10 grand, aren't they?
Keeping it in the Vag group.
Yes, okay.
All right.
Yes.
So I'd go Flying Spur Harlequin.
Okay.
The Flying Harlequin, I'd call it.
Would you go for sort of very rich metallics, like a sort of burgundy and a deep, like a British Racing Green sort of spectrum?
I would go deep metallics.
Really?
So it really pops in the sun.
Yes.
So big old metallic red, big metallic green, yellow, real like, Renault liquid yellow type thing. Oh yeah, should we do it?
Well, if anyone's got a car they think should be harlequined, or a car they've seen that's been harlequined, there was a Golf in the US. The US market didn't get the Polo, so they did a Golf harlequin.
Oh yeah,
which,
I wonder if
Mark III.
I wonder if it's deeply unpopular over there.
Well, I think these were sort of pretty much, rooted to the dealers' showrooms for a while. I think I can't remember, or did it do well over there? And it was just in Europe. People didn't quite get it. I don't know.
So many Harlequin-based questions.
I know.
Also, I thought about this the other day. Did I say it to you on WhatsApp or did I say it to you in person? I can't remember.
I don't know.
I said, actual Harlequins.
Yes.
Were they twats?
Yes.
I got the impression they're just really irritating,
annoying,
twats.
like jesters.
Yeah,
just bellends.
When sort of
Professional
people,
bellends.
if you're having a really stressful time, or maybe you're actually feeling quite upset about something, they dance and flail their hands too close to your face and invade your personal space.
Yeah,
and you'd end up having to give them a backhand.
Backhanding a harlequin sounds like an elaborate euphemism for what I don't know, but strange.
Well, okay, next question.
Okay.
I feel like we might have answered that, I don't know.
Another patron, Nathan English, asks, will you get Jason Plato onto the podcast? I know for a fact he'd be comedy gold and would have, if anything, too many stories to tell.
Well, Jason Plato is a wonderful... He's an SSG. He's a sweet guy. And he's also hilarious. He's a walking liability, I would like to add as well. Because if
that's good that you've also thrown that in there.
If he's got a glint in his eye, you need to watch out. But he's a barrel of laughs, and I like him a lot. I think he would come on.
Yeah, but I mean, we do sort of still have this no guest rule, but then obviously we have our guest waiver list.
Yeah.
People we would make an exception for. So I suppose we ought to add Jason to that.
Yeah, we should do.
But I can't remember who's on there now. Well, Shardai, obviously.
I would love that if Shardai would, especially if we could talk about, the new breed of rotaries, Masters.
I think she'd have some opinions.
I think she would as well. So yeah, I would love that. Come on, Shardai.
Now,
let's
funny
do
enough,
this.
These aren't messages from listeners with questions, but it seems pertinent to read them out. The first is from Jonathan Caswell, and he says, I seem to remember that not long after you first mentioned Shardai on the podcast, someone wrote in, or I possibly heard it from somewhere else, that there was definitely on this podcast that someone worked in a motor factory near Dursley or Stonehouse and used to sell parts to someone who serviced and repairs Shardai maroon or burgundy coloured Mazda RX-8.
Yes, well, it was definitely an RX-8.
This is broadly correct.
She used to buy oil from there for it, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Jonathan says, as I live near the Severn Bridge, I thought, you may never know, I might see it one day as I spend a lot of time on the roads. Sometime after, I was travelling from Cardiff to Bristol in my minibus, having dropped a particularly rowdy hen party to the airport. Oh, gosh, imagine. I just crossed the Prince of Wales Bridge.
Dick-shaped lollipops.
Yeah, all of that, always, yeah.
Terrible.
I just crossed the Prince of Wales Bridge, and as I'm a total car pervert, just like you, I'd spotted a Mazda RX-8 in the distance doing about 50 in the inside lane. Quite a rare sight, I thought, and couldn't wait to catch it up for a good look. As I got closer, I realised it was a burgundy/maroon colour. Flipping heck, it could be Shardai. As I came alongside, the windows may have had a slight tint on them, but I could see the driver was obviously a man. But there was a lady of small stature in the passenger seat.
No way.
For the next mile or so, my minibus and the RX-8 performed a sort of motorway waltz, with me slowing down so they overtook. Then I'd speed up and overtake again to see if I could catch a glimpse of the legend Shardai, who I assumed was in the passenger seat. Shortly afterwards, the RX-8 peeled off left and headed north at the M4-M5 junction, while I went right, heading south, and we went our separate ways.
Oh, he didn't follow then? Okay,
I couldn't
good.
make a positive ID of her, but to this day I believe it was her. And that's why I tell everyone I overtook Shardai on the M4.
This is wonderful, because it's like when people say they've seen the Dartmoor Beast.
Yeah, someone goes, you sure it wasn't a house cat? Just a bit closer than you think.
You go, yeah, well, I was on my way back from the pub and I had 7 pints of scrumpy, but I'm pretty sure it was a Jaguar. Was it, though? Was it actually a Jaguar cat?
Now, just this week, a listener called Matt wrote in, also on the Shardai theme. He said, while listening to the sweet, sweet Shardai album Promise, I stumbled upon a track called Tar Baby. I believe she may have written this song about Greg Aronson's drag race beetle, Tar Babe.
Tar Babe.
Do you know about Tar Babe?
I know about Tar Babe, a real legendary drag beetle, exactly. It was a very cool sign-written car too.
Matt says this may be why she relocated to Gloucester to be nearer to Avon Park Raceway near Stratford-upon-Avon and to be closer to her beloved hobby of drag racing.
I mean, it would be amazing if Tar Baby was about Tar Babe. We'll put a picture of this car on for our Patreons because it is a cool looking, even if you're not interested in Beatles or drag racing, it's that era.
Okay.
That golden era of sort of 70s extravagant race cars.
Okay.
It's a cool looking thing.
Matt concludes by saying, may I also point out the lyrics from another song on the album, Maureen, which contains the lyrics, shone like a souped up car, rent-a-go cart town.
Really?
I think Shardai is something of a helmswoman.
I think.
It's interesting. It's been quite quiet on the Shardai front recently, but
it's all flared
weird,
up again.
Quite a couple of listeners just popped up there.
It's reigniting my fire somewhat as well, because I mentioned Shardai just about a month or so ago about my daughter suddenly starting to listen to Shardai out of the blue, and I think it was the Diamond Life anniversary. I think it was the 40th anniversary of Diamond Life or something like that.
Yeah, well, that would make sense, I suppose, wouldn't it?
It's suddenly an old album, but yet does not sound old.
Well, that's the power of really immaculate production.
Yes.
See also ABBA.
Oh, well.
It helps songs not to date.
We've talked about ABBA before. You and I both know. I mean, it's just a seriously good sound. I'm just showing Richard quickly because I can't resist it, and I'm easily distracted.
Are you?
Yes. I'm just showing you what Tar Babe looks like.
Oh, okay.
But it's gold leaf.
Is it?
The sign writing on it, gold
For
leaf.
the record, Johnny's showing me a picture of a black beetle with gold leaf.
And it's a
sign writing down the side.
It was a roof chopped car.
But that was a dragster.
That was a dragster.
It looks quite normal. Doesn't look sort of mega modified or anything. But was that because back in those days? Back in the day, this is why.
Back in the day, right?
Didn't do that. So another question from a listener called Tim Skipper. I've met Tim. Hello, Tim. He says, hello, chaps. Loving your work, always. Recently, I had to scrap my 2000 Jaguar XJ8 3.2 because of reasons, in inverted commas.
Oh, no.
Which made me very sad. No. I miss its amazing quality magic carpet ride. What would you guys choose to replace it with that's up to 10 years old for the same incredible ride quality? Preferably a car that doesn't suffer from, in inverted commas, reasons. So I presume he's sort of saying not another Jag, please, because he assumes it may have the same problem.
Well, unless it was rot and he wants...
Well, I mean, they do. It's 2000, so it's an X308. There's a probable... Rot could be one thing.
Because you could get an aluminium XJ. And then, therefore, if it was a rotty issue with the Jag, you would sidestep that somewhat. See?
All right, well, let's start with that, because they still had a lovely ride.
And I think they've got a lot of... And you know what? My daughter, who's nearly 15, and okay, she's grown up with a dad who's into cars, but I haven't forced the issue. When I dropped them off at school just before summer holiday started, someone in the car park at her school has got a 308 XJ, long wheelbase.
Oh.
In a nice blue, like a deep metallic, decent blue. And it sat there amongst quite a few other cars, and I pulled up opposite it, and as she was getting out, she went, "What's that?"
Oh.
And she went, "Oh, it's a Jag, but what is it?" And she paused and she went, and there wasn't a badge on it. It wasn't. And she went, "That's an older XJ." And I went, "Yeah, it is." I smiled. and
I gave a knowing smile.
And do you know what? She looked around at the car park because there's a lot of SUVs, and she went, "Do you know the thing about that car there, Daddy, is it's got quite a lot of class." And I went, "You are right, it has." It will also out-handle most of the things in this car park, I would say. And
I mean, it's quite cramped in the rear, even with a long wheelbase. It may be headroom tight. I don't know.
I do not. So that's an option. Obviously, it's what you're used to, but minus steel.
Yeah, because I mean, I just a 10-year-old, well, maybe sub-10-year-old. Tim doesn't say what budget, but
if he says up to 10, has the Phaeton been out of production for more than 10 years?
No, but you could still. It was in production. It'll fit in with that time frame, I think.
So we could get a late Phaeton.
Are Phaetons prone to troubles as they get older? I feel like they might be of sort of electronic-y type.
I think the most common Phaeton is the V6 turbo diesel.
Okay, yeah.
And I've met two guys with those who do almighty commutes. You know, like Northumberland to Watford twice a week.
Oh God, yeah.
And they go just so good, just so good at it.
Okay, let's stick that on the list.
And you can run them on a bit of a tight budget. So,
can you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, as long as you're not a dick with it. I think, but that's a caveat for most cars.
The check engine light's been on for ages, so I just smashed it with a hammer. I wonder if
there's a guy on Instagram that does that. I think he must run a salvage yard. Yeah, he films POV the dashboard of what looks to me like a pretty new car, and then attacks it with a claw hammer.
Why?
I've got absolutely no idea. I was horrified.
At least he's using the POV idea correctly, because I'm getting a bit sick now of people on the internet going, POV, you're having a baller night out, and then it's a film of themselves, and you go, that's not POV, it stands for point of view.
Yeah.
You need to be filming it as if you're... No, never mind. It's irritating.
You flesh.
I wonder, though, to answer Tim's question, also, if he would give time to an S-Class, because...
Yeah.
Again, I mean, potentially expensive problems if they go wrong, but I don't know how...
Yeah, potentially.
But good ride.
Well, incredible, like benchmark ride. And also, I think the residuals of them aren't great, because people who are looking for cars of that prestige, unfortunately, don't want a 3-box saloon at the moment.
Now, I'm just going to do a quick search if I can before I say this with confidence, but...
Good old S-Class.
I wonder if we could double down on your Phaeton suggestion.
Let's Spur?
Maximum. Flying Spur.
Maximum Spur.
Maximum.
I love that. Maximum Spur.
Maximum. I mean, obviously, they're sort of potentially... Let's go... Hang on. I'm just going to do... 2014
I thought you were going to say...
to 2015, so keep the window narrow.
I thought you were going to go full Marco Alain and say maximum attack.
Oh, I see.
While staring at me in the eyes with an intense look. Maximum attack.
I once saw, I think it was Didier Auriol, the rally driver, being interviewed on the TV.
Such a cool name.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, but he was going, no, out there it was mood, maximum mood.
Maximum mood.
And that's one of those, the phrases just lodge in your head forever. And anytime someone says, it's a bit muddy out there, I could just hear Didi Oriel going, mood, maximum mood. It's just, I don't know why. Right, look.
God, I wish I was a WRC, top line helmsman.
Yeah, I could see the appeal. Although, I don't know, you sort of put your trust in the man sitting on the floor next to you in the dog basket.
That's true.
And what if, well, I suppose
just sublime
trust
car control.
Is incredible. Yeah, the car
I think if you can...
extraordinary.
If you can do a WRC car in top 3 in the world consistently, you pretty much can drive anything.
Yeah,
including a steam rally, steam tractor with no brakes. Yeah, basically
Thundersley Invercar. Anything you could turn your hand to it.
Thundersley, it's still such a rubbish name.
Bentley Flying Spur here.
Yeah,
2014.
Yeah,
it's the W12.
Course.
It is on 103,000 miles. It's in black. It looks rather smashing in the pictures. It's £30,000. Now, I don't know if that sort of feel like that may be a bit punchy for
I don't know. I mean, you're buying a bloody Bentley.
Well,
But-
exactly. I mean, what a great way to be bankrupted. But ride quality wise, that'll be super.
Yeah, and
So-
I'm sure that there's people listening right now going, "You've forgotten to say this."
Well, probably do. I mean, do feel free to set us straight.
Audi A8,
Yeah, are we just not thinking more
BMW 7.
Yeah, but well, they've all got a decent ride. I think probably. I don't know what's got the best ride.
Would you rather have an A8 or a 7 Series? I don't know why I said it like that. 7.
Would you rather have
Series?
a 8 or a 7 Series? It depends what shape.
Yeah, because
they all sort of slightly blur together in terms of how they drive.
the last A8 looked really generic and didn't feel special.
I think that's still the current A8, isn't it? Or not?
Haven't they just changed it? I want to say they've just changed it.
I can't
But I've
remember
been in
now.
a few of them, and I thought whilst they were nice, they didn't have the presence of the other cars.
I think also the A8 generally has probably not had as good a ride as some of the other large limos. In fact, there was one that I remember having quite a poor ride. I think it was on massive wheels, and I can't remember what shape that was. But anyway, you
about
notice
a Volvo?
troubles with the
There'd be a
flying
Volvo
Spurs.
out there they
They
could-
never quite ride brilliantly, though, do they?
Volvos.
No, they're
They
sort
got
of
a-
okay, but they trip up a bit. I
They've got
think.
a brilliant seat, though.
Do they? S80s, old S80s might be all right.
Yeah, do you know? Yeah.
But
Yes.
What else? I'd feel like if Tim's coming out of an XJ8,
Quattroporte, Maserati.
I think they were quite pleasant, but then as they got sportier, like the GTS and stuff, the ride got firmer. I don't think they were ever they weren't Jag spec.
No.
I think Tim's looking for Jag spec, which leads me to think we go back to our first thought. You just buy another Jag and take
buy
his
aluminium.
chances. I mean,
The value of them. I mean, you can get a Callum shaped, like the completely
Yeah,
revamped
yeah.
XJ. You can get those for
yeah, they're not
20s.
mega money, are they? Oh God, I think less than that. I'm just looking. Tim doesn't say the car. His Jag was from 2000. It doesn't say how long he's had it. Because I just wonder how long it had before it developed the reasons that he speaks of.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, I hope that's been useful, but I suspect maybe not.
Next question.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Here's a song.
Andrew McRae says, gents, quick question. I exchanged my Alfa Brera, brackets 2.2,
Oh,
for a Panda 100 horsepower.
that's a terrible
Swapped
idea.
it straight up. Who got the better deal?
The person that got your Alfa Brera.
Can I... Hang on,
That's what I would rather
was the
have.
2.2 was the diesel, wasn't it? Oh, no, wait, no, it wasn't. No, beg your pardon. Perhaps not, because that was a 2.4.
4.
I don't think the Alfa Brera was very good.
Dynamically, it wasn't.
The only thing that was worse than the Brera was the Spider, which was absolutely shockingly terrible, particularly the Q4 3.2 one.
The Brera is to this day a looker.
Yes.
I think aesthetically it's wonderful.
Yes.
So if you're not bothered about, kind of like on the limit feel and, class leading damping and ride, then the Brera is cool. So you're probably going to have more fun driving the Panda 100.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
But can I just say, irrespective of whichever cars are doing what, I just love the idea people are still doing straight swaps with cars.
I know, it's interesting.
Because I've done it before, and it's effing exciting.
Have you? I never have. I feel I've missed out.
I've done it twice.
They're very different cars, these, though, aren't they? Just in terms, one is a sort of large-ish coupe, and the other one is a little tinny city car that's been amped up with steroids, and both have their merits, apart from the Brera, which I never thought was very good. But it's like, I don't know. It's like, now I swapped an orange for a chicken tikka masala. Who got the better deal? It depends what mood you're in, really, doesn't it?
It does.
How much vitamin C you need at that moment. No, I don't know. I mean, even though I had a sort of mixed experience with the Panda 100 horsepower, I would say that, Andrew, you got the better deal because you now have a Panda 100 horsepower and not a Brera.
If anyone would like to, if anyone, let's say, is out there who wants a swap scene, has got a really nice 911 964. and they just want to do a straight swap with me for something that's worth significantly less. Just tap me up.
Yes.
What's our email address? hello@smithandsniff.com.
Outrageous demands at Smith and Sniff. A listener called Tom. He says, long-time fan, having enjoyed Richard's column in Evo and Johnny's presenting on TV, followed by your weekly routine on the podcast and YouTube. However, there is one thing that bugs me about both of you, and that's your time capsule focus on music. As someone who was born in 1979, I obviously have an appreciation for late 70s, 80s and 90s music. But being someone who is always looking for something new, I want to know, what is the most recent new music you've both picked up on? I know this is a car podcast, so maybe you can say what's new on the playlist for drives down to leafy, leafy London. Oh, glorious good.
Oh, glory hole's good word.
Well, not to desperately try and sound like, trendy dad, but I was just going to look at what I've downloaded recently onto my...
Oh, because you Spotify stuff.
No, I don't do Spotify because they put ads on our podcast and don't pay it for us, so fuck Spotify. But
okay, yeah.
And I would encourage everyone to follow suit. But I do Apple Music because I feel like they're a more honest way to stiff musicians. And so recently... the new Charlie XCX album, I think, is pretty good.
I've not heard that.
Yeah, it's quite intense in places. Particularly the last track is like. But then I listened to, there's a podcast called Tape Notes, which is brilliant, which is where they deconstruct music with the artist and their producer. And they did like the last Blur album with Damon Albarn and James Ford, who produced that. And it's fascinating because when they really go in deep, they've got all the original stems on a computer, so they're sort of going, okay, let's just isolate the drum part here, and now let's see how we built this up.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, now we brought the bass in. Actually, this is the demo. Here's how we changed the bass line for the next. And it's if you nerd out about music, it's fantastic. And they've just done, Tape Notes have just done the Brat, the new Charlie XX album. And they don't go as deep as I would quite like about, synth settings and stuff, but it's still fascinating. And particularly the last track, 365, which is meant to sound like you're in a club, but then sort of going between rooms, and it's getting more and more intense, and it's really clever.
Oh, okay. That sounds good.
But yeah, it's a good album. Romy, who used to be, or is still maybe in the XX, her album Midair is good. Got that on here. My mate Alex Riley, we know Alex Riley.
Yeah.
Who's out of the classic car show and the car years and all sorts of stuff. He is in a band.
Is he?
Yeah. I didn't know this, and then he suddenly messaged the other week. The band's called the Lunar Pull. Alex lives up in on the Wirral, and this is him and some guys up there. But they've put together this album. The band's called the Lunar Pull, and the album's called The Workings Underneath. It's sort of... It sounds to me, and I mean this as a compliment, like late Britpop, or like the Seahorses. You remember John Squire's band after Stone Roses? It sounds a bit like that, but in the best possible way. And it's a real grower.
Oh, cool.
And I've been listening to it because I was like, if someone goes, I've got an album out, you kind of feel, better giving this a listen, sort of politely. But I was like, actually, this is good. And I listened to it over and over again. And I was like, this is really good. It's very catchy. So, what else have I listened to?
I like Griff, the female artist called Griff. I think pretty much everything she's released is really, really good. I can never remember the names of the new songs that I like because I don't write them down, and I don't use...
I'd try to look at
I don't use streaming services. I know that I
never know any track names anymore, unless it's really obvious in the chorus.
Yeah, I can go on to BBC. I do use BBC Sounds, so I can go back to a track listing and go, yeah, I'd like to really hear that.
Another one of a sort of more modern band that's been on heavy rotation in my ears recently is Yardak, their most recent album. Where's My Utopia? Do you know Yardak?
No.
They're bloody brilliant.
Are they?
Yeah, I think they're from Leeds.
Off of Leeds?
Off of Leeds. And they're just sort of... They're brilliant. It's really funny. It slightly reminds me of Half Man, Half Biscuit, but just because it's sort of laconic northern outlook on things. But yeah, the album's really good, but also the track they released as a standalone before that, Trenchcoat Museum, is fucking brilliant. It's got such a funky bass line in it. It's really good.
Trenchcoat Museum.
The lyrics are brilliant. I wish we could play it on here, but for copyright reasons we can't. But go and look out Trenchcoat Museum, because actually I think that's the strongest thing they've done recently. It's so funny, just because it's genuinely about going to a trenchcoat museum, but it's talking about how you have to listen to it. Lyrically, it's very funny and very clever, and the music, the bass line particularly, is just it really skips. It's good. We should probably bring that.
So I'll come back to this question.
Yeah, sorry, I sprang that on you, but Tom, I hope we just proved that we're not old farts, but I think we probably default to the stuff that we.
I do try, but I do enjoy listening. I do enjoy listening to a lot of new music. I think my biggest problem, if I'm going to put my hand in the air, is, like I say, I don't keep a record of like, God, I really like that artist. I really like that track. I should listen to more of that, because I'm usually driving or doing something else in the background, which is what music's great for. But that's what I should do. But no, I don't.
On my phone, quite often, in my photo reel, I've got pictures of the car stereo.
Have you?
Because when Six Music or something plays a track that I really like, I'm like, I need to investigate this more.
Yeah.
And but you're driving or you stop to some traffic lights, you shouldn't be doing it when you're actually driving. But if it's on the display on the stereo, I'll just go, I'll take a picture of that so I remember to look it up later. And then quite often forget. And then ages later, I'll be going through my photos going, I've got so many pictures of the stereo in my car. Oh, yeah, okay.
Because it's music I'm
it's music I'm interested in. Do you know what I mean, mate?
Into it. And there's a track also I was listening to, which I can't remember I heard it, called Buckle Bunny, which is like kind of country, but modern country.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of good modern country. I guess it's sort of fusion.
Yeah.
You'd want to call it in some ways.
Yeah. All right, well, anyway, that's enough. Questions.
I'll start making a list.
Yeah,
it's a
we'll
good
come
question.
Back to this one.
It's a good one.
Anyway,
too good.
That's all for now. Thank you for listening. We're back again on Monday with the main show. Until then, goodbye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
On that